Hi everyone, I will be showing you a migration from one Entra tenant to another Entra tenant today. I will only be using one user, but this migration can be done on users, groups, apps, settings, and policies. So I will be migrating one user from this demo use tenant, that user being this test Terry user at the bottom, over to this mid P2 testing tenant. And as you can see, test Terry does not exist yet, right? So using MightyID, we make this process quick and easy. So you would want to perform a migration from one tenant to another in a single identity provider. In the event that you wanted to test your production environment without actually testing it on that production tenant, or say you wanted a standby tenant um, in the event that your production data does take a hit in some way. Right, so both of those are use cases to use this migration. And the process is fairly straightforward. So we'll come over here to this MightyID dashboard. As you can see, I have both of those tenants in here today. Here's the demo use tenant, and here's the P2 test tenant. What I'm going to do is restore or migrate from this demo use tenant to P2 test tenant. As you can see, I have already ran a full backup earlier today, and this is just to grab what is in the demo use tenant and store it for later use, whether I do want to perform a restore, a migration, or a port. Today, I will be showing that migration through adding a restore. It's going to ask which backup to choose from, and then it's going to ask me which tenant to restore to. If I was just going back to this demo use tenant, I would be performing a restore. But in this case, I'll be moving to this P2 test tenant, which will be a migration. Next, MightyID is going to ask how we want to resolve matches. In this case, I know what I am migrating and I know how the tenants look, so I can just overwrite since test Terry does not exist in the destination tenant. But say I didn't know what was changed or deleted, and I also didn't know what was in the destination tenant. Then I could just ignore and not change what I don't need to be changed. And then, of course, we can merge preferring source to destination depending on the data that is being changed or hasn't been changed. But again, in this case, I will just be overwriting. In this instance, I will not be restoring associations. Associations are the single sign-on attributes that link the objects together, right? So if a user is assigned to a group or assigned to an application, that's an association. In this case, we are just going to be migrating test Terry over, so there's no need to restore any associations. Now down here at the bottom, I'll be choosing what I want to migrate. I'll just select on test Terry, and I will also double check groups, apps, and other to make sure that I have none selected. With that, I will click migrate, and it's off and running. As you can see at the bottom, there's a little text bubble that pops up showing that the migrating has been queued. And also, if we look at the logs, we can see that I have requested the restore or the migration. Below this are the logs from the backup that I ran earlier today. Again, that was just to grab a full backup of everything that was in that demo use tenant initially. But this migration will only take a couple minutes, and you can monitor these the logs for real-time updates as to what is going on. As you can see, migration job has finished, and we were able to restore or migrate one user out of one user. Now, if I go to my Entra tenants, this is that demo use tenant, and just to confirm, this tenant was not changed. Test Terry you can still see is here. But if I go over to this mid P2 testing tenant and I refresh the page, test Terry is now in this tenant after a successful migration.